Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. Welcome to the second episode review for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I'm very excited to be here. Uh, I will be going into spoilers, but not just yet. I do want to talk a little bit about the episode without having spoiled anything. Now, as you know, the episode is these are going to be shorter than like a normal Game of Thrones episode that you may be used to, but I think that's pretty cool. I enjoy that. This is not a very long story, and the fact that they managed to fill 6 episodes, and we'll talk about how they do some of that stuff. I think it's great. I think they found a really good way. The pacing for the show is really good. We get enough action, we get enough exposition, we get enough things happening, especially spending time with the characters, right? That's the heart of this show. Spending time with Dunk and Egg and all the knights that we're gonna get to meet. Those little character moments, those are gonna make this, I feel like, a show that's gonna be impactful, a show that's gonna be entertaining. I will also say this show is continues to be really funny. I laughed out loud several times during this second episode. I mean, the show kicks off with like a really interesting gag, if you want to call it that. Yeah, I think it's a really well paced show. I think it's a really well done show. And I'm really enjoying it so far. So, highly recommend you check it out. Now, I will be getting into spoilers, just kind of go through everything that happened. I won't be mentioning any spoilers from the book. I don't want to go into anything that the show hasn't really covered. So, if you've read the book, we can probably talk more about that at a later date or maybe in a different video. But this is just about episode 2 and maybe some of the stuff that's building from episode 1. So, we're getting into spoilers. If you haven't seen the show, this is your last chance to get out of here. But make sure to go enjoy it. It's a really, really fun show. 2 episodes in, I'm completely sold on this show and the adaptation of the Hedge Knight novel. So, all right. Whew, what a way to kick off the episode with this really big memory, if you will, of Sir Arlen of Pennytree. And as we get to the end of the issue or at the end of the episode, the showrunner does mention the reason that they did that, the reason that they gave Sir Arlen of Pennytree such a big endowment of his knighthood is because this episode was gonna kind of kick him a little bit. It was gonna all those flashback, all those memories. You know, Dunk continues to remember his life with Sir Arlen of Pennytree, and he's kind of being the butt of the joke in all those things. But this is a fun way to kind of like give him a little something before you kick him down. So yeah, I think exposition through all these flashback memories not only are they funny, they really help build that relationship between, or at least explain that relationship that Dunk had with Sir Arlen, but also serves as this exposition of like Dunk has been telling those stories because he's in search of someone that remembers Sir Arlen so that he can enter the list. So that's a really fun way to kind of do that, along with talking about the episode. So everybody in the chat, what's going on? Let me know if you have any questions about episode 2. We'll address those at the end of the video. Finally, Dunk continues to go along with Egg as they see the Targaryens arrive in a really grand manner, right? Of course, Baylor and Maekor. Baylor, of course, is the prince next in the next one to be up for the throne. Then we also see Arion as he meets Dunk in a really fun conversation. I think their armors look great. I think the Targaryen looks great as they kind of arrive. It's a very different approach when you have somebody very important like that getting into the Ashford tournament, right? They are met by the Lord of Ashford, taken up to the castle. In the meanwhile, Dunk's kind of just still trying to figure out and find some recognition for Sir Arlen and trying to get in the list. He does talk to some of the Kingsguard, which I gotta say, I love their white armor. It looks so good. I think that one of the details that this show's getting definitely right is the look of, and the feel of things. Though the armor looks great, and the Kingsguard. There's a really funny joke about like how does a crab tree or a crab fisherman get to be part of the Kingsguard? Later on, that gets paid off when Egg reveals that yeah, he's a crab fisherman, but his dad owns like the biggest crab fishing, in Westeros. So like kind of like he bought his way into the Kingsguard. That's the only way. It's not like you could just uh this show continues to remind Dunk that you can't just kind of work your way up to everything. So, which is an interesting theme to touch upon here. Um, Dunk gets he sneaks into the castle. I don't really know why. He just sometimes I feel like Dunk just kind of does things because he feels like maybe he'll get something out of it. But he sneaks into the castle. He's kind of eavesdropping on Lord Ashford and the Targaryens. So it's a really fun conversation because you know that his sons are Makor's sons are missing. So we don't know what's going on there. I do not play Fortnite. Whoever's in the saying in the chat, uh, I don't know if they have any Game of Thrones collaborations going on right now. Um, but yeah, so Baylor, he finally asks Baylor, does you remember Sir Arlen? Dunk now at this point, remember he has zero decorum in the court, but he knows well enough to make sure that to address Baylor the Prince as his grace and stuff like that. But yeah, luckily for Dunk, Sir, luckily for Dunk, Baylor does remember Sir Arlen. They competed in a joust back in the day. They went four lances before he was taken down. Before Sir Arlen was taken down by Baylor. Now Makar makes a big deal about this because like why would Baylor remember just like a random Hedge Knight? But I think Baylor takes pride in remembering like his history, his love of history. I think it's something that he takes pride in. And also, we get more hints at like Baylor would definitely be a great ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. After that, Dunk finally gets to go into the list because now somebody has finally vouched for him. But he is told that he cannot carry Sir Arlen's shield as it is. He must have his own design. So this presents Dunk with both a new obstacle but also a new opportunity. Dunk and Egg go and visit the puppet show one more time. They realize that Tencel, she paints. So Dunk asks if she could maybe paint a new design. Dunk is not very good with talking to the ladies, but you can tell he's definitely very sweet on Tenzel. And they ultimately she ends up acquiescing to paint the shield. So that's really fun. We This show takes a lot of time to stop by and just have like these little moments because they have the time, they have enough. As I mentioned, the pacing of the show allows it to really just take some time. And we see Duncan Egg just kind of like doing almost like a post analysis of like how did that interaction with Tencel go. And Dunk mentions that, you know, there's some things that he doesn't like about himself, and Dunk just kind of tells him like you're gonna have to get over that stuff. You will eventually outgrow those things, or you'll improve on those things. But he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. We do see Sir Lionel coming to get Dunk to bring him into like this pulling rope contest that they're doing. So this is something that definitely I don't think was in the books. So that was really fun that they are adding little things like this to not only build out the world, but also just build out this relationship with some of the knights that we've met in episode 1 and episode 2. Then Dunk finally goes to search for some armor for the tournament now that he's in, but unfortunately he doesn't have enough money to pay. So he has to sell Sweetfoot, so he has to get rid of one of his horses to do that. So we see a very sweet moment of him, you know, giving the person that's buying the horse gives him a copper to make sure that Sweetfoot gets a little bit of oats and maybe an apple as a kind of a parting. He promises that if he wins the tournament though, or if he does make some money off of the tournament, he'll come back and get Sweetfoot back. So hopefully we'll see that beautiful horse one more time hanging out with Dunk. And then the closing of the show, we get to see some jousting. Finally, there's like some night events going on. We see that Prince Valar Targaryen, that he's the son of Baelor, is also entered into this list, and he's going to see. And we see some big jousting, and I think this is one of the moments that really reinforces how well made this show is. The action looks very good. Like they go at this like 5-on-5 lance combat, and it looks really cool. There's a lot of like wood splinters flying everywhere with these lances being broken. Like, yeah, I think they're doing the contest really well. But we do see that Dunk gets a little nervous after seeing that how much great competition there is, right? there's a lot of formidable knights, and this is very impactful for Dunk because he really only ever kind of trained against Sir Arlen. Like he never really has entered in a contest because he wasn't a knight before this. But ultimately, when they go back to the camp and they have a moment, Egg promises to carry on Sir Arlen's legacy because they will remember. If he wins this tournament, they will remember that he is now carrying that legacy for Sir Arlen, and then that way his memory kind of comes back and can kind of live on from there. This all goes back, hooking up to the first part of the video, or to the first part of the episode, where we see that all these memories of Sir Arlen were kind of a goofy guy. He was never a knight that made a big name for himself. He was never rich. He was just kind of somebody that lived day by day. So that's really interesting. So yeah, I enjoyed this episode tremendously. I'm very excited to see what happens next. Now, obviously, I have read the book and I've read the comic, which you can check out my videos for those two things in the channel. I made a playlist for the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so you can go check those out. But I'm gonna ultimately throw it back to you, whether you're watching this live or later on. What did you think of episode 2 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms? What is your favorite part? Do you have a favorite character so far? And like I said, I love the way that the armor looks, especially on the Kingsguard. It's very different from the Kingsguard that we see in the Game of Thrones show. So this show continues to differentiate itself from both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and I think that's for the better of the show. Thank you for everybody that watch live. Thanks to everybody that's watching later on. I'm very excited to keep talking about this on a weekly basis as the episodes drop. I mean, we're already 2 episodes in. This is already a third of the show. So now I'm gonna go check out some of my favorite YouTube people talk about this show. But let me know, what did you think about this? And of course, come back, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment because we'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about other shows, and then of course we'll be talking about comic books because that is our forte. If you want some more, you can check out our stream from last night or from yesterday, where we talk about some of the best TV of 2025, including some other random things. And then, of course, Jeff and I this morning talked about all the comic books that we read. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Sunday mornings, we have our comic book show. And then now, Sunday nights, until the end of the season, we'll be talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So, we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.